WWE Monday Night Raw results February 14, 2022. The Elimination Chamber Go-Home edition of WWE Raw opens live on Sci-Fi as Jimmy Smith welcomes us to the Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. He's joined at ringside by Corey Graves and Byron Saxton. We go right to the ring and out comes WWE Champion Bobby Lashley with MVP. Lashley hits the ring as the announcers hype tonight's show and Sunday's Elimination Chamber event. Lashley poses in the corner as the pyro goes off. Lashley talks about how he has to win the Elimination Chamber before he enters WrestleMania 38 as champion. He goes on about how his challengers have all failed and he has destroyed them all. MVP goes on about Lashley's chances at retaining on Saturday until the music interrupts and out comes Seth Rollins. Rollins says Lashley looks good right now but not as good as he does. Rollins says Lashley won't be champion for long. He enters the ring now. Rollins doesn't believe anyone else in the chamber can beat Lashley, but he knows Seth freakin' Rollins can. He laughs. MVP interrupts and says if Rollins keeps running his mouth like that, he won't make it to Elimination Chamber. The music interrupts and out comes Riddle. Riddle comes out wearing his toga. Fans chant toga, as Riddle enters the ring. Riddle does his promo and says it would be pretty cool if he became a double champion by winning the WWE title and then getting back the Raw Tag Team titles with Randy Orton. He says it would be even cooler if they came to his toga party. Riddle comments on Rollins' suit and says he needs to get ready to face Orton tonight. Riddle says Lashley doesn't have a match and should be wearing a toga. Riddle tries to get a chant going for fans to encourage Lashley to wear a toga. The music interrupts and out comes Austin Theory. Theory goes on about how he cannot let WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon down as his protege. AJ Styles interrupts next and comments on Theory having his lips planted on Vince's rear for so long he's not making sense. AJ doesn't want to lose in the chamber again. AJ enters the ring and says no one, including Lashley, will stop him from having a defining WrestleMania moment. AJ also looks forward to becoming the WWE United States Champion tonight. Riddle invites him to the toga party. Lashley says this is ridiculous, he's the only one here who has won a chamber match. He says Theory is too wet behind the ears and needs to wait. Rollins needs to realize there's no way he's running this against Lashley, and Riddle needs to come down off his cloud if he really thinks he's becoming WWE Champion, and AJ simply isn't going to have that WrestleMania dream he's hoping for. Lashley says as far as Brock Lesnar goes, this is as close as he will get to the title because Lashley plans on beating Lesnar all over the chamber and entering WrestleMania as champion. The music interrupts and out comes Lesnar to a big pop. Lesnar takes off his cowboy hat and nods to the crowd while smiling. The pyro goes off as Lesnar marches to the ring now. Lesnar stares down the other participants and takes off his jacket now. Lesnar uses Theory as a coat rack, then as a hat rack. Lashley takes off his jacket now as Lesnar faces off with him. They have words. MVP backs Lashley off some as Rollins talks some trash. Theory leaps onto Lesnar's back but Lesnar launches him with a big German, then another. MVP and Lashley exit the ring, as do the others. Theory is left alone with Lesnar now. Lesnar laughs at Lashley, then scoops Theory for a big F5 in the middle of the ring. Lashley raises the WWE title at ringside while Lesnar's music starts back up. Lesnar is all smiles as he looks on. Lesnar then takes Theory's cell phone, picks him up off the mat and holds him up for a selfie. Lesnar continues staring Lashley down to end the segment. The Street Profits are backstage hyping tonight's Raw and the commercial-free first hour. They have some business to take care of tonight with the Dirty Dawgs, because they are up and they want all the smoke. The Street Profits vs. The Dirty Dawgs. We go back to the ring and out come the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. The red solo cups fall as they head to the ring. The Dirty Dawgs are out next, Dolph Ziggler and Roode. We get a replay of Ziggler's WWE NXT appearance last week. NXT's Tommaso Ciampa has joined the announcers for commentary now. The bell rings and Ziggler goes at it with Ford, but Ford drops him for a 2 count as Roode makes the save. They double team Ford in their corner now. More back and forth. Ziggler is legal again. He drops Ford for a 2 count as Dawkins breaks it up. Ziggler grounds Ford and rakes his face. Ford counters a back suplex and drops him with a kick to the head. Roode and Dawkins tag in at the same time. Roode gets rocked and then clotheslined as Dawkins comes in. Dawkins levels Roode and then launches Ziggler onto his head as he runs in. Dawkins splashes Roode in the corner. Roode counters and nails a big spinebuster in the middle of the ring for a 2 count. Ciampa gets up from commentary to applaud Ziggler at ringside. Ziggler acts as if he's going to kick Ciampa. Ciampa throws water in his face and Ziggler goes down. Ford takes advantage of the distraction at ringside and ends up hitting a huge top rope splash to Roode in the ring, then covering for the pin to win. Winners, the Street Profits. After the match, the Profits stand tall as Ziggler super kicks Ciampa at ringside. Ford rolls Ziggler back into Dawkins, but he rolls back to the floor and Roode brings him to safety at ringside. Ciampa recovers at ringside as the Profits stand tall in the ring and the Dirty Dogs look on from the ramp. We get a look at last week's academic challenge. Riddle's RK Broga party is going on backstage. We see Commander Aziz, Apollo Crews, WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Queen Zelina Vega and Carmella, and others. They're all wearing togas. Riddle gets a Broga chant going after arguing with Vega about how this isn't her party. Kevin Patrick is backstage with Randy Orton now and he's not impressed with the party. Patrick asks why Orton isn't at the Broga party. Orton says he's not really the Broga kind of guy, plus he's got a match with Seth Rollins to get ready for. He goes on and gives Rollins some props, and says he's going to get hit by the 3 most dangerous letters in WWE, the RKO. The announcers send us to a Black History Month video on WWE Hall of Famer Rocky Johnson. This is the same video that aired on SmackDown, narrated by The Rock. WWE United States title match, AJ Styles vs Damian Priest. We go back to the ring and out comes AJ Styles for his title shot. We see what happened last week with Kevin Owens, Adam Pearce, and Sonya Deville. We see footage of Owens recorded earlier today now. He realizes he won't be competing in the Elimination Chamber now, which means he probably won't be in WrestleMania 38, which is good because he won't have to wrestle in Texas. Owens goes on about how much he hates Texas and everything related to it, just like he hates people from Indianapolis. Owens says if North America was a human body, Texas would be its ass. He laughs and mocks Texas more to end the promo. We go back to the ring and AJ is waiting for his opponent. Out next comes WWE United States Champion Damian Priest. The bell rings and they go at it. They trade offense and Priest nails a few arm drags, then grounds AJ. More back and forth now. Priest shows some frustration, then grounds AJ by his arm again. Priest with big strikes and kicks, then a discus forearm. AJ fights back with kicks and a back fist, dropping Priest. AJ with a flying forearm in the corner, then a sliding forearm to keep Priest down. AJ gets a pop and calls for the Styles Clash but it's blocked. Priest drops AJ and goes for the inverted DDT for a close 2 count. Priest shows some more frustration. AJ comes back with a Pele kick but they're both down now. AJ gets sent to the apron but he keeps fighting. Priest yanks him to the floor but AJ avoids a choke slam. AJ ends up dropping shoulder first onto the apron. Priest returns to the ring and AJ fights back from the apron with right hands. AJ calls for the phenomenal forearm but Priest rocks him with a roundhouse kick. AJ still flies into the ring but Priest dodges him and he rolls through. They tangle on the mat and Priest rolls AJ up out of nowhere to retain. Winner, Damian Priest. After the match, Priest stands tall and takes the title as his music hits. AJ offers to shake hands in a show of respect and they do. Priest walks out of the ring. We get another vignette with Alexa Bliss at her therapist. Her look is changing and she appears to be closer to what she looked like before Lily. Bliss says for the first time in a while, life is amazing. The therapist presents Bliss with the leftover pieces of the original Lily, his gift to her so she can be at peace. Bliss starts to have some internal issues with seeing pieces of Lily, but she brings it together and smiles. The therapist holds up a Lily doll and says he has an idea. We go to a NXT Vengeance Day promo. 2-on-1 handicap match, Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin vs Omos. We go back to the ring and out comes Omos. Out next comes the team of Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin for this handicap match. Cedric rushes Omos as the bell hits, but Omos grabs him with one hand and controls him by his face. Omos launches Cedric into the corner as Shelton looks on from the apron. Cedric retreats to the floor as Shelton talks some trash from the apron. Cedric grabs Omos' leg from the floor, allowing Shelton to come in with right hands. Omos fights them off and launches Shelton into the turnbuckles but misses a splash. Shelton comes back with a step-up knee. Omos fights off a double team now. Cedric springboards up but Omos catches him, swats Shelton to the mat as he charges, then nails a big choke slam to Cedric. Omos yells out and covers Cedric for the quick win. Winner, Omos. After the match, Omos stands tall as the music hits. We see how WWE 24/7 champion Dana Brooke kissed Reggie but friend-zoned him last week. Reggie and Dana are at a restaurant having a Valentine's Day dinner now. They're enjoying the special outing but we see Tamina Snuka and Akira Tozawa at a nearby table in disguise. Tozawa asks Tamina what she's having to eat but she reminds him they're not here to eat. Back from a NXT promo and Riddle's toga party is still going on. The Street Profits show up for some beer pong but Commander Aziz and Apollo Crews aren't happy. We go back to the ring and Adam Pearce is out to host a contract signing for WWE Hall of Famer Lita vs Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch at WWE Elimination Chamber. We see what happened between Lita and Lynch on last week's Raw as Lita makes her way out. Pearce introduces Lynch next and out she comes, not looking happy at all. Pearce tells them to sign and make it official but Becky tells her she doesn't have to do this, don't do this, don't make it official. Lynch says she hasn't slept all week because all she can think about is how her teenage idol came for her so close to WrestleMania. Lynch goes on and says she will let it slide if Lita doesn't sign. Lynch says they don't want to fight each other, the only ones that want to see them fight are these demented people who get off on ruining people's lives. Lynch says she and Lita don't need to play these games. Lita asks the fans what they think. She goes on and says she's not just in this for a match, she has a whole run left in her, and a championship run at that. Lita says Lynch saw last week that she has what it takes to beat her, and she can like it or not but the match is happening. Lita signs the contract. Lynch seethes and says Lita is pushing her to a point she can't come back from. Lynch says Lita doesn't know what she will do to keep the title on her shoulder. Lynch has studied Lita's career and Lita is going to make her go for her neck. Lynch threatens Lita some more but signs the contract. Lita brings up how Lynch just said there would be no Becky without Lita, and she says if she had a hand in creating Lynch, then it's on her to end it. She goes on about taking the title on Saturday and Lynch throws the contract at her. Lynch takes her title, holds her head low and makes her exit. Lita stands tall and plays to the crowd as her music starts up. We get a video package to promote Saturday's Elimination Chamber matches to be held inside the chamber structure. Gauntlet match, Rhea Ripley vs Nikki A.S.H. We go back to the ring and out first comes Rhea Ripley for this gauntlet match. The winner will end the Women's Elimination Chamber last on Saturday. We get a pre-recorded video with Ripley saying she's back on track and focused, and ready to rip through any woman in her way to become the Raw Women's Champion at WrestleMania. Out next comes Nikki A.S.H. to mostly boos. We get a pre-recorded video from Nikki now, who says she can't wait to claim victory on Saturday and inspire everyone around the world as the superhero they must admire. Ripley and Nikki size each other up as we go to a picture-in-picture commercial. Back from the break and Ripley tries to knock Nikki off the apron with a big boot but she misses. Nikki traps Ripley in the apron cover and works her over. Nikki with some cheap shots as the referee warns her. Nikki brings it back in and tackles Ripley for a 2 count. Nikki grounds Ripley in the middle of the ring now. Ripley finally fights free but she runs into a kick in the corner. Nikki slams Ripley's face into the turnbuckles over and over as the referee warns her. Nikki continues to kick Ripley around. Ripley fights up from the mat but Nikki kicks her knee out again. Nikki with more kicks to Ripley's knees to keep her down. Ripley goes for a slam but it's blocked. Ripley levels Nikki with clotheslines, then the riptide face first into the mat. Ripley goes for another riptide but it's blocked. Nikki slams Ripley on her neck. Nikki goes to the ropes and fights Ripley off again. Nikki leaps from the second rope with a crossbody but Ripley catches her in mid-air. Nikki blocks a slam but Ripley comes back with another riptide for the pin to eliminate Nikki. Rhea Ripley vs Liv Morgan. The music hits and out next comes Liv Morgan. We get a pre-recorded promo with Liv talking about how brutal the Steel feels like. She says the other women on Saturday will have to destroy her to beat her, but she will survive because she always does. Liv and Ripley stare each other down as we go to commercial. Back from the break and they're going at it with close pin attempts. Liv with a big knee to Ripley's jaw in the corner. Liv grounds Ripley now. Ripley fights back and slams Liv for a close 2 count. Liv ducks kicks but Ripley kicks her in the chest. Liv goes for a Hurricane Rana but Ripley tries for a powerbomb. Liv keeps trying and slams Ripley face first for a close 2 count. More back and forth now. Ripley tries for the Prism Trap submission win but Liv breaks it and sends her into the turnbuckles. They go on and Ripley hits a super kick, then the riptide for the pin to eliminate Liv. Rhea Ripley vs Doudrop. The music hits and out next comes Doudrop. Ripley tries to recover in the ring as Doudrop makes her way down. We go back to commercial. Back from the break and they're going at it. They meet in the middle of the ring and talk some trash after brawling. They collide and Doudrop taunts Ripley after she stays up. Ripley levels Doudrop with a huge shoulder. They trade big headbutts now. Doudrop with a big suplex and a senton for a close 2 count. Doudrop ends up mounting more big offense but she misses when going for a leg drop. Ripley with a drop kick to the face. Fans chant for Ripley to mount a comeback now. Ripley with big clotheslines but Doudrop takes them and headbutts her back. Ripley with another but Doudrop fights back with clotheslines of her own. They trade clotheslines in the middle of the ring but are still standing. Ripley ducks a shot and nails a drop kick for another close 2 count. Doudrop fights off the riptide, dropping Ripley with another headbutt. Ripley slides off Doudrop's shoulders but can't lift her. Doudrop fights her with elbows but runs into a kick. Ripley finally hits the riptide for a big pop and the pin to eliminate Doudrop. Rhea Ripley vs Bianca Belair. Doudrop screams out in frustration as Ripley sits up and tries to recover. The music hits and out comes Bianca Belair now. We get a pre-recorded promo with Belair talking about making WrestleMania history twice this year. We go back to commercial. Back from the break and Belair drops Ripley out of the corner. Belair keeps control and goes for more close pin attempts. Ripley sends Belair into the corner but runs into a back elbow. Belair with a big suplex. Ripley blocks the follow-up suplex. They trade counters and Belair finally gets Ripley up for a suplex. Ripley kicks out just in time. Belair with an abdominal stretch in the middle of the ring now. Ripley avoids a hip toss and ends up sending Belair into the turnbuckles. They tangle and Ripley drives knees to Belair's face, then takes her down but misses a basement dropkick. Belair with the handspring moonsault for a close 2 count. More back and forth now. They both go down but Ripley rolls to the floor to recover. Belair ends up following but Ripley takes her out at ringside. We go to commercial. Back from the break and Belair slams Ripley for a close 2 count. Ripley kicks Belair but has the riptide blocked. Ripley avoids KOD and lands on her feet. More back and forth. Ripley goes to the top and strikes Belair from up top. Belair slaps her from the mat. Ripley yells at her to bring it. They trade big strikes and slaps, Ripley up top and Belair standing on the mat. Belair jumps up with a kick to daze Ripley on the top turnbuckle. Belair with a big slam to bring Ripley to the mat. Belair with another handspring moonsault, but Ripley gets her knees up again. They go on and Ripley nails a big missile drop kick for another close 2 count. More back and forth between the two. Belair goes on and hits the KOD for the pin to win the Elimination Chamber advantage, entering last. Winner, Bianca Belair. After the match, Belair stands tall as her music hits. We go to replays. Belair and Ripley hug as the announcers hype Elimination Chamber. Belair swings her hair and continues celebrating. We go back to the toga party and Riddle is singing a song now. Raw Tag Team Champions Alpha Academy attack Riddle and beat him up. Chad Gable is sick of this, and says the party is over, bro. Raw Tag Team Champions Alpha Academy vs. The Mysterios. We go back to the ring and out come the Mysterios, Rey Mysterio and Dominik Mysterio. Back to commercial. Back from a break and we see R-Truth, disguised as a waiter, approaching Reggie and WWE 24/7 champion Dana Brooke at their table in the restaurant. Reggie holds Truth off while Dana retreats. She runs into Tamina Snuka and Akira Tozawa at their table. They end up stumbling all over each other and Dana gets away from them. They run away and Dana comes back to Reggie, thanking her friend for saving her again, with a kiss. Reggie wants to take things to the next level but she apologizes for leading him on. Reggie says they can be friends, but he suddenly rolls Dana up and wins the WWE 24/7 title. He holds the title up and says friendship has its perks. Dana is confused. Truth, Tozawa, and Tamina run back in, taunt Dana, then chase Reggie as Dana is presented with the bill for dinner. She's not happy. We go back to the ring and out come Raw Tag Team Champions Alpha Academy for this non-title match, Otis and Chad Gable. They insult the people of Indiana and welcome us to their first public assembly. Gable goes on about how he's never needed to cheat to accomplish anything. Gable goes on ranting about cheaters, RK Bro, and the Mysterios. He's finally interrupted by The Miz and Maryse, who come out to join the announcers as we go back to a commercial break. Back from the break and the match is underway as Otis stands on Rey. The It couple are on commentary. Otis controls Rey and poses to boos. Otis launches Rey into the turnbuckles and he goes back down. Otis runs the ropes and hits a big splash for a 2 count. Gable comes in and sends Rey to the corner for a shoulder thrust. Gable takes Rey up and drops him over his knee with a gut buster. Rey kicks out at 2. Rey fights up and out. Gable catches him on his shoulder but Rey escapes and sends Gable face first into the turnbuckle. Otis tags in and keeps Rey grounded. Otis steps on Rey and climbs up to the second rope for a Vader bomb but Rey moves out of the way. Dominik and Gable tag in at the same time. Dominik unloads and nails a Hurricane Rana takedown. Dominik with a tornado DDT for a 2 count now. Dominik cuts Gable off and hits a suplex. He keeps it locked for the second suplex but Gable blocks the third. Gable with a German suplex for a bridge but Dominik kicks out just in time. Dominik kicks Gable and launches him out to the floor. Rey runs in and knocks Otis off the apron. Rey kicks Otis into the barrier while Dominik sends Gable into the barrier on the other side of the ring. Rey then holds the ropes open so Dominik can run the ring and hit a big suicide dive, sending Otis into the barrier again. Rey follows up with a sliding sunset flip powerbomb to the floor. The Mysterios stand tall as we go back to commercial. Back from the break and Dominik kicks out of Gable's pin attempt. Gable tosses Dominik around and hits a belly-to-belly suplex for a close call. Gable goes back to the top as fans boo. Gable misses the moonsault and Dominik rolls him up for 2. They tangle some more and in comes Rey to unload on Gable. Rey knocks Otis off the apron. Gable decks Rey and rolls him, but Rey kicks Gable in the face for 2. Rey taunts The Miz and goes back to work on Gable as Miz stands up at the announce table. Gable catches Rey with a big German suplex for 2. Rey fights free from Gable's shoulders now, then drops Gable face first. Otis breaks Rey's pin up. The Mysterios double team Otis now, sending him into the ring post and out to the floor. Rey drops Gable into position for 619 as fans pop. Rey and Dominik hit a double 619 on Gable. They go to the top, but Miz hits the apron, and pushes Dominik to cause him to lose his footing. Rey stops climbing and knocks Miz to the floor. Dominik climbs to the top for a crossbody, but Gable catches him and rolls through for the pin to win. Winners, Alpha Academy. After the match, Gable and Otis head to the ramp and celebrate as the music hits. Maryse enters the ring and distracts the Mysterios as they are recovering. Miz comes from behind, sends Dominik to the floor and then drops Rey with a skull-crushing finale. Miz and Maryse celebrate and kiss as their music starts up. We go to replays. Miz and Maryse continue celebrating as they head up the ramp. We go back to Alexa Bliss and her therapist. The doc says Bliss is cured, at least as cured as she's going to be. He says she will be fine as long as Lily is by her side. Bliss says Lily is gone and she no longer has her, but he informs her that the real Lily's stuffing is inside this replica he's given her. He says as long as Lily is near, Bliss will be cured and can live a happy life. Bliss thanks the doc and shakes his hand, and has him shake Lily's hand. Bliss goes to leave, stops, and tells Lily that apparently she's cured. She laughs and says she's going to the Elimination Chamber match on Saturday. The announcers and a graphic confirms Bliss as the final Elimination Chamber entrant. Seth Rollins vs Randy Orton. We go back to the ring and out first comes Seth Rollins. Back to commercial. Back from the break and the announcers go over the Elimination Chamber card. The Miz vs Rey Mysterio is announced. We go back to the ring and out comes Randy Orton for tonight's main event. Back to commercial. Back from the break and the match is underway. Orton drops Rollins with the right hand after getting tired of his mind games. Orton takes it to the corner and keeps control, sending Rollins headfirst into the turnbuckles and then hitting uppercuts. Orton mounts Rollins in the corner as fans count along. Rollins counters and sends Orton into the top turnbuckle. Rollins laughs and stomps away now. Rollins shows off some and goes on to take Orton down, then kick him in the back for a quick pin attempt. Rollins keeps control and lays Orton on the apron, then delivers a running kick from the floor. Rollins brings it back in and comes off the top with a double axe handle. Orton hangs in but Rollins keeps control, taking him back to the corner. Rollins wastes some time and Orton fights back. Orton with chops and strikes out of the corner. Rollins whips Orton into the corner but Orton clotheslines him. Rollins dodges a power slam but Orton dodges a stomp. Orton clotheslines Rollins to the floor and follows as fans cheer him on. Orton slams Rollins on top of the announce table. Orton brings it back in but Rollins blocks the second rope draping DDT, then sends Orton to the floor. Orton limps and clutches his knee. Rollins runs the apron and leaps off with a flying knee to the face. Rollins runs the ring and nails a suicide dive into the announce table. We go back to commercial with Rollins all smiles at ringside as Orton tries to recover. Back from the break and Orton is blocking a suplex. Rollins blocks a suplex from Orton and then nails one of his own. Rollins goes back to the top while laughing at Orton. Orton leaps to his feet and cuts Rollins off. Orton crotches Rollins and climbs up for the superplex. Orton nails the superplex for a pop but they're both laid out. Orton drapes his arm over Rollins for a quick pin attempt. They both get up and trade strikes now. Rollins stuns Orton with a kick to the side of the head. Orton charges but Rollins drops him face first into the turnbuckle. Rollins with a sling blade. Rollins readies for the stomp but Orton cuts him off with a big power slam. Rollins kicks out just in time. Orton goes for the draping DDT but Rollins blocks it and rolls him for 2. Rollins with a super kick to the jaw for another close 2 count. Rollins shows some frustration. Rollins gets up talking some trash. Rollins nails a big rolling elbow to drop Orton. Rollins with another big elbow to the back of the neck to put Orton back down. Rollins readies for the stomp but Orton dodges it. Orton swings but misses. Orton blocks the pedigree and sends Rollins to the apron, then hits the draping DDT. Orton pounds the mat as fans cheer him on now. Orton comes right back with the RKO to put Rollins back down. The music of Raw Tag Team Champions Alpha Academy hits. They come out and run the ramp towards the ring but Riddle is right behind them, still wearing his toga. They stop to beat Riddle down on the ramp. Orton rushes out of the ring to make the save for Riddle but he's about to get counted out. Orton rushes back to the ring but Rollins is waiting with a stomp for the pin to win. Winner, Seth Rollins. After the match, Rollins stands tall as the music hits and we go to replays. We see Riddle and Alpha Academy still down on the ramp as Rollins celebrates. The announcers hype the WWE title Elimination Chamber match for Saturday. Rollins poses on the announce table while Orton slowly recovers in the ring. The final Raw before WWE Elimination Chamber goes off the air,